Welcome to Brotaku Retrospective, your weekly show where we review a season of an anime and convince you why it's worth your time to watch. I'm Eddie Friels,
I'm Clinton Tossbone.
and this week we're reviewing Rising of the Shield Hero Season 1. Take it away, Clint.
All right, so our main protagonist in Rising of the Shield Hero is Nafumi Iwatani, who's a 22-year-old college student that lives on his own. We get into it with him waking up to his computer screen that has an MMORPG login screen displayed on it. Clearly, he's pulled it all-nighter, so what he does, he needs to get out of his house. So he goes to his local library and indulges in his other pleasure, which is reading light novels. And this is where it sets apart from the other isekai animes where instead of getting truck-hooned, he literally gets sucked into the light novel he just picked up on a whim and gets teleported to a new world that's got like a medieval setting to it. Think like standalone RPG, like kind of like Skyrim or something along the lines like that. Just not too overrun by dragons though. He next thing you know, he's surrounded by a bunch of hooded robe guys and sees like three other people in the room across from him that look dressed like they're in modern times, and this is where we start kicking off kind of like the introduction of the other three characters of the story.
So, first off, we have to talk about the sheer amount of effort they put in the pilot before we even go into any details.
Oh, yeah.
Half the reason I got so dialed into this one, we both ended up watching season 1 of this from simulcast episode 1. So that was a heck of a ride going through these 24 episodes in real time.
Oh, yeah.
The pilot, they got 46 minutes on it. So you're getting a full 2-episode opener to bring you into this world. And it is done by Kadokawa, so it is gorgeous across the board. As we're dialed in, like Clint was saying, you kind of get a quick overview of 4 people from modern times, and each of them's holding on to something. Our hero, Naofumi, is holding on to a shield. There's another gentleman with a bow, a lance, and a sword. Come to find out, they were summoned to this world to help protect it from an impending invasion from another dimension. Awesome. And they're not going to be able to get back to their world until this problem is resolved, if that's even something that can occur after the problem is resolved. And so, as we're introduced to all these characters, they end up spending the night in the castle after getting the support that they'll be, the next morning, provided a party and everything they need to go out into the world to be successful for the kingdom.
Right.
And that first night, they're going over kind of what they know in the moment and find out none of them can remove their weapons from each other. Like, it's permanently bound. Now shield's always there, etc. And they also can't seem to pick up any weaponry outside of that. And so, like, now can't end up getting a shield or anything like that. And so that evening, one of the princesses ends up spending the night with him. They get dinner, whatever. He goes to sleep. No big deal. Now he's kind of excited. Everything's lined up, starting the day in the world. And very quickly it paints a picture of this is not going to be what you expected it to be. First thing in the freaking morning, when all the heroes are lined up with their party, Princess... Oh, she makes me so mad. Claims in front of God, the country, and everybody that now took advantage of her against her will, which naturally sets him up for failure. No followers, nothing out the gate.
Yeah, it pretty much paints him as the villain from the get-go.
And so he ends up at the hiring event from the king's little thing. Nobody wants to go with him because no matter what he says, everybody's against him on this, even though nobody has proof. And so, being falsely accused, he leaves, takes his little pittance and goes about his way and starts trying to find out different ways to get stronger. And moving along, he's can't find any other way to go about getting party members because he's just
Nobody likes this dude anymore. Like they literally like bought into him being villainized at this point.
and later on they also expand upon that further that apparently there's some predisposed prejudice towards the shield hero.
Right.
That if you end up doing a second watch, you end up picking up on that.
That's cool. Okay.
And so now Fumi ends up finding out that at least out the gate, the only way he's going to be able to have anybody that works with him is basically to get a slave. And obviously that's effed, frankly, but in a do or die situation, you're going to get eaten by a cosmic monster. It seemed like that was his out.
Right.
And so he ends up at a slave market and discovers, how would you describe it? A demi-human.
Yeah.
He finds this
that's
little
what they're called.
demi-human girl in a box and ends up buying her. And her name's Raftalia. And he's like, all right, you're coming with me, and you're going to have to learn how to use a sword.
Yeah.
And so that's the start now. But this girl is sick, young, frail. And
Yeah.
so just to start with out the gate, he's got to get her healed up, fed up, and get moving with it. But
Right.
slowly but surely, they end up synchronizing their team. They end up having a bit of a misadventure in a cave during an early training arc with Raftalia that is the event that ends up really cementing them together and preparing them.
Oh yeah, he gives her a hard choice because
Yes.
like either I die, and you just are gonna have to run because I mean, yeah, you're gonna die too soon after, or you take that sword
And get it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I feel like that should have been a more memorable thing in my brain, but it's been quite a while since I've seen season 1 of this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to give you it. Like the events that and what they ran, like that was kind of like, if I remember correctly, just only like a kind of like a segment of an episode.
Right,
They
and it
didn't
was
really
like a
expand too much on it.
very level appropriate challenge too. It was like a couple cave wolves or something like that.
Right, it was a tougher opponent because I think by this point he's like kind of gotten her past like, oh, I can kill things.
Yeah,
point,
not just having to be like, I'm gonna hold an orange balloon and you poke it,
make it pop.
pop, pop, pop. Oh my god, we have to make a side tangent on that. Now's pocket balloons in season 1.
Oh my god, that was so funny. He was just carrying him with him the whole time. Like anytime somebody gave him any flack, he was like, "All right, let me introduce you."
So, being the shield hero in like an RPG setting, obviously his defensive stats are just through the roof.
Yes.
And from the perspective of the 4 heroes, they all have like a little HUD thing that they can pull up, and so they can see things numerically.
Yeah.
And
our
so-
MMORPG right here.
At the start of all this, before now ends up getting Raftalia, he's trying to figure out what he can still do on his own, and he gets to this point really quickly where these level 1 enemies that are just an orange balloon, it's a balloon with teeth that bites at you.
Yeah.
His defense points, even at level 1, are so naturally high they can't actually damage him.
Yeah.
And so he just stashes a crap ton of them in his cloak, and anytime he wants to like intimidate people, that's his intimidate check. Sick the orange balloons on him. Oh my gosh.
You know what's even funnier to me? Before he got Raftalia, like he was trying to like find ways to like get experience, and via that way, he was like literally punching those balloons. He was out in the fields, like literally throwing hands at these orange balloon things. That was funny to me, but they formed a bond, apparently.
and to keep the bad taste in Naofumi's mouth too, during the whole like opening balloon training arc, you see the other heroes in the field, and they're like smugly like.
Oh right, like yeah, the way like he's grinding for XP, like he had a choice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
So, after the event in the cave, we are instantly hit with the first wave of the catastrophe. And man, they did an excellent job out the gate portraying how big of a
Like kind of a big
problem
deal
it's
it
gonna
is.
be.
Yeah, yeah. Like
But
this is our like reason why they got summoned pretty much is these things. So
and the skies were gorgeous, like in a volcano exploding kind of way.
Yeah.
But it's like all blue and purple and extra dimensiony looking.
Yeah, it looked like the sky was kind of like tearing and contorting in a way. I don't know. Yeah, you definitely just have to see it. Like it just doesn't look natural.
And so as the wave progresses, the three heroes and their parties all start to show their true colors. They're all treating it like,
It's a game.
it's a game because they have the power weapons and nothing is as strong as the God-given summon kind of nonsense. And so once the wave starts, they're immediately off looking for the boss mob. What's the big thing? Like, what closes us down? Which that's all fine and good. Someone's got to do it. But at the same token, now Fumi is in a little village on the outside of the castle, and it's just regular civilians. Like, it's a wood pillar kind of encampment.
I think they felt the evac him too.
Yeah, nobody got evac'd, and so now Fumi's like screaming, like, "Why aren't you helping these villagers get out of here?" And they're just like,
Yeah, to the soldiers. Yeah, because they're following the other three heroes.
And so now Fumi's like, "Okay, well, I've got me and little gal Raftalia. We're not going to be able to do anything, so we're going to just rally a defense, and we're going to try to run out the clock." And in doing so is kind of the first step where he starts inspiring the people of like, oh, there's something about the shield hero. He's the only one that stuck his neck out for us when
For the little dude. Yeah.
And so we get through the wave, the whole village survives, and now Fumi's kind of slapped in the face with the reality, like, oh, not good. And so we wrap up the arc. Everybody gets a little payout for it, except for our boy, of course.
Yep. He always gets the lesser of the deal, always, or the lesser piece of the pie, pretty much.
But by the time all this ends up wrapping up, we've at least got a full-grown Raftalia. It seems the demi-humans, when they level up, they grow really quickly in this world. So
Yeah, they mature.
Yep.
Yeah, in a sense, I want to say. I keep in mind this is kind of like first season's kind of from the perspective of our main protagonist and not from anybody else's perspective. And the things that you'll notice in the first season are going to be a little bit different, like perspective in later seasons. You know,
yeah, you definitely get it very focused through the MC's eyes, season one. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that like watching it for the first time was definitely like irking. I'm just like, oh my god, that is so unfair, like for real. But yeah, so after the waves, the first wave comes through, we have Naofumi, getting his little reward from like saving the town. I guess the town, the little person from the wave.
He saved the village.
Yeah, and here's your measly teen gold. Like, I don't even know what he got. Honestly, it wasn't anything.
Not
honestly.
memorable, I can tell you that much.
But
he did get a lot of. He got personal points. He didn't get the gold bonus for the quest reward. He got your reputation has increased by 10 points bonus.
Right. So at this point, Naofumi uses what little reward money he has. I think at this point, oh yeah, something crazy happened. Didn't there was a thing pointed out from the spear hero about Raftalia having a slave crest. And they were trying to spin that into a whole thing about, oh, so she's on your team against her will. And he's like, I cannot win if I'm always losing.
I honestly had forgotten all about that bit, but you're completely right. Because, yeah, that's the next thing. It's like, oh, well, I guess now that he found somebody, how are we going to on
ruin
this
that.
next.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I forgot how much of a thing that becomes.
Yeah, so they have like a showdown, and I think towards the end of that fight, it was kind of a tearjerker almost because he was like really getting sick of it. Oh, I want to say like not to get into it too much. I think this is the first time where he hears like something outside of the game, but we're gonna touch on that here in a little bit. There's
of something from the shield.
yes, yeah. This show goes pretty deep, but anyways, he gets through that little showdown. Pretty much like kind of like licks his wounds from that battle. I mean, he gets tag teamed. He was cheap shotted by the princess. I know how that fight went down. I was so mad. I was like, oh, nobody saw that, huh?
Yeah,
But
because Princess B at this point is teamed up with Motoyasu, the spear hero.
yes.
And bro is such a himbo.
Oh, dude, he really is dumb blonde. Dude. Forget that he is. Yes, dude, he definitely is the himbo.
Oh my gosh, even at this point in the series, we can already see which head he thinks with.
Yeah, for real. And I want to say that he is the eldest of the four heroes too, which is even oh my god.
Yeah, axe the other way around.
Right. But yeah, so after that fight, Raftalia is like, or I think they get the slave crest taken off via some way because I think he did lose that fight. Yeah, and they took the slave crest off, but Raftalia was like, now you see that it was my choice to be with him now that the slave crest is gone.
And now that I have a choice, MFers, I'm going to put it back on.
Yes. And so our boy goes back to the...
She gets buffs during that period.
Yeah.
There's...
Yeah.
Aside from the gross penalties of like, hey, if you disobey me, I'm going to zap you to until you yield.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure that when you see the screen where the crest is applied, you see a couple of
there's a
stats boost up.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so there's some benefits to having it set up like that, and like we said, it's her choice. So he goes back, or Nafumi goes back to the slave trader that he originally got Raftalia from to get the slave crest redone. But during this trip, he picks up the philo egg, I think.
Yeah, the slave trader has monster eggs. So he got of course our guy got such a poor payout from what his contribution to the wave
That's
was.
all he could afford, yeah. And that was some of his own money he saved up too, I think, too, along with it.
So he's walking through. He's like, "Yeah, you can't really afford anything, but I have some monster eggs if you want to hatch this."
So you got like a little gotcha thing going on right now with the monster eggs, and
at this point, though, he's advanced the shield enough. I got like an identification perk, right? Because he's already been doing like alchemy
there
stuff.
was a reason why he was looking for the specific egg.
He was being nosy AF. He's like,
Yeah, and when you think of a philo egg, think Chocobo from Final Fantasy. Definitely like big, oversized chicken. But yeah, so he picks up one of those eggs because like I guess it's one of the fastest like birds, and I think he was having the idea of having it as transportation. A means of transportation.
Yeah, because at this point he's starting to realize that like the only way he's really going to be successful
is getting the hell out of that town. Yes,
and acting as a traveling
merchant.
Yeah,
because by this point, like after the battle, like he was just done with that town. He's like, we need to go. We need to just be on the road.
Yep. Yes. Middle finger salute to the home castle and deuces.
Right. So yeah. So I think it was after they bought the egg. I think that's when they hit the road via foot. I want to say. And funny thing is, while they're on the road, I think it was after a camp out at night. The egg hatched, and like next thing they know, it's like a big. Yeah,
it's like a one episode Evo to go from like. Chick that can fit in your hands to like
big old god chicken.
Right. Appa sized chicken, giant bison sized chicken. Like apparently in this world you can get away with having a big old bird pull your cart.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, think Chocobo, but this is where our next character, Philo, comes in, and she's like
It's like the first night after the Philolial has like grown to full size. Next morning, Naofumi wakes up and there's just a tiny, I think, undressed blonde lolly in his arm.
Okay.
Like, what in the world?
Yeah, and this is where we get into and he hates this too, and I felt him on so many levels. Everybody assumes he's a lolly god. He's playing with this little girl. Even the blacksmith is saying like, who is
his only ally? Like he gets lucky. I can't believe we didn't talk about the blacksmith. He'll be more important later.
Yes,
but yeah, the local blacksmith is like the only dude that's got Naofumi's back, and he is just a boss of a character.
Yeah, he's a bro for sure. Like he really is. Like I for some reason don't think like I'm thinking of like token like racial characters, but definitely I feel like Jet from like Cowboy Bebop vibes from him a little bit. Like he kind of talks in that sense of like, you know, kind of being the wisdom in a sense a little bit. Like he tries to steer Naofumi in the right direction.
It's like you're as a man, he is like the guiding compass of like, I get it, but
yes, definitely, for sure. But yeah, so after this, they literally get set up with traveling with now their newest companion, Philo, and they start trying to get some. I want to say.
I think at this point they're like starting
info?
to be traveling.
Oh, merchant!
Yeah, they're the traveling
Yes!
merchant because this is the point the chicken cult starts in the background.
Yes, because he gets I want to say he gets a bunch of gifts from the town that he saved, and one of it being it was like a token showing like he didn't have to pay any tolls on the road. So like he was licensed as a merchant with that token he had.
And he wasn't being like greedy either, so like everywhere he went, like the people ended up being better for it.
Yeah, economic wise, yes, heck yes. He wasn't ever like taking too much of what he needed. He only just taken what he wanted. He just always just did based on a need. He's like, well, I do kind of need this, so.
Right, and as a support character in the background of this point, he's been like kind of building up other skills like alchemy and crafting and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And apparently our bro is the shrewdest talker in the world.
He
Not
is.
that you get to see much of that before this point because he's just so angry all the time.
Yes,
rightfully
always brooding.
So.
Yeah.
But by this point, you're starting to get that glimpse of like the other side of the coin, and you're like, whoa, hang on a minute, what's going on?
Yeah. Because like you've only ever seen glimpses of his actual character. It's more like you're seeing reactions to a situation, and I mean, he's got bad. He's just getting dealt a bad hand, so his reactions are kind of justified, but they may not be the best approach and like the best display of his character in a sense, you know.
But they do such a good job always showing like the logic behind the thought, so you never feel like you're like. Just
like you're not like like you feel like you're going over top. It makes sense
for your character. I'm like. Now, I wouldn't have done that, but I get why you did that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so they're running around.
He's got
selling medicine to the poor for cheap, helping people out where they can. And because it's such a sight, because usually the Philolials look more like ostrich, like kind of thin neck, big body.
Traditional chocobo, yes, for sure.
And Philo and the body's big squat, like think like your Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons, any of your farm game, like cute little chibi ball chickens, and just like scale that up. That's what you got going on with Philo's bird form. And so because of just how I can't believe it did that. It's fucking plugged in.
I know, dude. I was like amazed. Like I was like, what? I was like, it just cut out like that. There was such a good like back and forth we were doing.
Well, I don't think we lost anything, but there's definitely gonna be a cut.
Okay.
It's still go. So okay, in the future, apparently it keeps going, but it cuts our analog hits.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, I apologize for that cut, everybody. We were trying to do this in one shot, and we're going to keep going for that goal in the future, but our setup apparently took so long the computer idled out, and we panicked.
We did. It's first episode, jitters.
Stay tuned for more. Anyway,
Definitely.
so we're talking about Philo, giant chicken,
Yes.
running around, making a great reputation, and this is where, like I said, we've already, with the last episode, him traveling around, starting to see some of his more human aspect.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then, I feel like I was starting to wonder if there would be any comic relief in this show because it is such a mood so much of the time.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
And so we get to this episode where Naofumi's nickname to the people at this point, he ends up gaining the title Savior of the Heavenly Fowl.
Yes.
Chicken cult.
Yes. Cluck, cluck.
And so I don't remember why this occurs, but they end up running into Motoyasu, the spear hero, in one of the towns they're cycling through.
I remember this. They have the race.
Yeah.
There's a race.
They have the race. So it's Motoyasu and Queen Bee, or Princess Bee at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any more of the party at this point. I think it's just those two traveling. I don't remember.
Dude, the rest
If
of
he
his
has
squad is like background characters.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
You got C tier.
I think they become relevant like in a few episodes, but yeah.
There's only one of them.
Person that random mobile suit that's piloted by random guy gets blown up by Gundam with actual name.
Congratulations, sir. You are here to pilot a Zaku 2. Does it get a paint job? No, it is navy.
It's green.
It's green.
Oh no.
Anyway, that is a totally different kind of universe.
Sorry.
Motoyasu having to, just crap all over the shield hero, as is their norm.
Always, yeah, interaction at this point.
While they're in town, Philo changes out of her big filial form
and goes back to the lolly.
Well, come to find out, homebro Spear Pokey has a thing for angel girls, which...
He's degenerate as degenerate gets, honestly, almost. I mean, there's worse characters that come out later, I think, but like for first season, he's the degenerate.
Yeah. And so, to mess with Now, he challenges Naofumi to a race to see who...
Yeah, he has the lizard thing. Like
yeah,
the
he's
dragon
riding on
thing.
a big
Dragon,
lizard mount.
Basically, like whatever.
It's like the things the Fire Nation has in Avatar.
More or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think bipedal, though, so raptor almost. Like, yeah.
And so he challenges Naofumi to a race on Philo to see if he could win it, which was a whole dumb premise. We all knew Now wasn't going to let that one go one way or another. But, oh my gosh. I don't want to spoil the ending of that episode, but I was freaking rolling for like 5 minutes straight at the end of that one.
Let's just say this dude changes his outfit, dude.
Yes, his encounter with the chicken inspires an outfit upgrade. I was dead. Oh my gosh. If nothing else, if you don't want to deal with any of it else and you need a good laugh, just go to season 1, episode 7. It's 20 minutes of your life. You don't need any context. It's a great episode.
Yeah, ends on a good note, a good high note.
Oh my gosh. So we get to follow all that chaos up with what I think is one of Clint's preferred tropes in these kind of genres. So I'm going to let Clint take us into this next arc of our boy.
So now we're following Naofumi along the way on the road, and his next stop, I think he catches wind of a nearby town that has like kind of like a pandemic going on, and being Naofumi who he is, he's a hero, so and plus there's probably some. He tries to play it off like he is this greedy dude, but he's just playing or teasing Raftalia, I think, with this persona. He kind of feeds into the villain role to kind of just get a good one on her, or a rise out of her. I want to say.
Am I wrong for remembering that like he would make a villain face randomly just as a
No,
punchline? Like,
he does that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he does that at least a couple of times. I want to
It's
say at
like
least.
it's so good. It's almost as good as like Deku's All Might faces.
There was even the comment, like I think, yeah, there's something to comment on that later on. Like he just plays along with it, and it's just so funny. Oh, when he gets the upgrade for his outfit, we forgot about the upgrades when because Raftalia grows up, she needs to get a new gear upgrade,
Yep.
and now Fumi gets his outfit upgraded, and they make the comment like, "Oh, now you look like more like a bandit," and he's like, I'm done. You guys. So he just decides to feed into it. And yeah, he does like do it to get a rise out of Raftalia for sure.
And he does kind of look like a thug.
Hey, dude,
In
most
jail.
guys do look like a thug, like in you don't have to get too branched.
Is that the male equivalent of RBF? Is it just RTF? Resting Thug Face?
Maybe. I even the just to branch off into another little show here. In ReZero, the protagonist in there looks like a thug too. I think there's some kind of like either you're the shut-in degenerate looking dude, or you're the thug looking dude that gets iseki'd to another world. I think there's a formula there of some kind to some degree for the most part.
My favorite trope is the super delinquent looking dudes with the heart of gold. Where it's like the moment they come on camera, like you're like you're probably okay, but nobody thinks that about you.
Right. They think thug all the way, but he's a housewife. No. But no, yeah, he catches wind of this town, goes to investigate it, and they let him in on the news. Yeah, I think it's a town like a natural springs. So think spa village of some sort. But they have this like pandemic going on, and the pandemic is like causing people to have diseases. So now Fumi, being as adverse he is into his other like crafting skills, that's what we can call them, his crafting skills, kind of investigates into a cure to kind of like help these people along. And I think he finally figures out how to synthesize something. And this is where another joke comes in. He doesn't mean it in the greedy sense, but I think doesn't he ask for like a sum of money for the antidote? I want to say.
I don't remember like how the transaction goes because I remember the ending doesn't line up with the proposal.
Yeah,
fully.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, he gets into town, looks everything over, and like he can't 100% do it out of crafting skills, but he's like, for an exorbitant amount or an exorbitant
because it
thing,
takes time and resources. Yeah,
I will give this to you, and I will go figure out what's going on.
Right, because it's coming from somewhere. Yeah, he already knows that.
Yeah, and like the townsfolk are like, we can't afford this, but I guess.
Yeah, keep in mind that I also
death.
I didn't touch on the fact that like people have tried to look for this source and haven't made it back prior to our shield hero guy.
Everybody that went did not return.
Yeah. So there was that. So he knew that was the deal. He just wanted to figure out like here's kind of a thing to get you by, but I will go check out the source. But I want to say he does make the joke, like he does touch on the thug part of himself, and he's like, I'm going to charge them. And Raftelli's like, why would you do that? Like, no. And I mean, he makes the argument of like, he's like, I can't keep doing stuff for free all the time. Like, I have to get something out of it, you know? And I think they settle on something, but I want to say he doesn't necessarily. He just says, "I'm gonna go figure this out." Okay,
yeah,
and then
he
when
plays
I come
the
back,
villain role up front, like he plays into the thug thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, guy goes up the mountain. Oh, we come to find out though, we don't know what was going on necessarily, but we find out that the sword hero
was here.
Had recently been there. Before all this started. And so
Yes.
now Fumi's already just ticked out the gate about that because he's like, what did you dude, while you were here.
Right, because clearly things have just gotten worse. So when he goes up to the mountain to investigate, like, and they have to like fight off monsters the whole way there because like whatever the pandemic is sourced
There's like
from
a
is causes like monsters to go nuts.
Yeah, there's like a crazy miasma in the air that's like leaking down into the.
That's poisonous,
Mhm.
like to other people, except the monsters. The monsters actually just get riled up from it.
Yeah, they're
I
just
think.
huffing it.
Yeah. So they're getting all aggressive and stuff. And so they get through that, and then they finally get to the top, and then they see the shadow of this dragon, but it ain't alive. It's like clearly been like dead for some time. Like, I mean, it's decomposing, and this is where we find the source of our pandemic here.
I
Is-
will say, though, real quick,
Mhm.
that might have been one of the few immersion breaking moments for me.
Oh,
It was
really?
a little too decomposed for the timeline.
I think so too, because I want to say it was only like probably like maybe a matter of days prior to it or weeks.
And
Well,
who
not
knows?
that
I
many.
could be wrong. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it kind of reminded me of like the zombie dragon from
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yu-Gi-Oh
yeah, being
blended
like,
with like a blue eyes.
yeah,
It's
I
kind
could
of
see that, yeah.
it's kind of like dinky. It doesn't have like the mouth is like globby, not like teethy kind of thing. Like
Right.
you can tell this is a dead dragon. But like all his meat's rotting off into the countryside, and it's like, oh yeah, you left a mythical beast to rot,
Right.
and all his evil magic is just radiating
Right.
out into the countryside. And I don't remember if they explain at this time. They don't explain why why he came back as a zombie, but this
Right.
dragon is back as a zombie.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then we get into the part where okay, now Fumi makes the plan. I think he tells Philo to stay behind. One thing about this bird, it's its size for a reason. She's munching on some stuff they got from a village prior to this.
Well, isn't this also where we learn that apparently there is some weird rivalry between Philolials and dragons?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. It was the
starts
race.
going off the handle like cats and dogs, like just
Yeah, yeah, because dragons by nature are prideful creatures, and I think Philolials are kind of are matched to that pride in a sense. I want to say.
it's like the opposite side of the coin.
Yeah, yeah, but the same, yeah, thing. I got you. But he starts making the plan, but then, yeah, Philo just decides to do her own thing. She catches the whiff of what the dragon stank, I want to say,
Mhm.
and she just goes nuts. I think it's at around this part. Now
It's like
Fumi's like realizing
he is
it's not
overpowered.
dead, and it wakes up, starts overpowering him and Raftelia because Raftelia can't get close because now Fumi has that super unnatural high defense, but the rest of his team does not match his stats, so he has to
And-
compensate for that miasma at the same time. So he's using a lot of skills in tandem. Just keep this in mind. So he's got his hands full with this fight. The other heroes had a full squad.
Yeah, bro's really shown his tank abilities, like, in
Mhm.
my opinion, for the true first time, going the distance with this fight. Like, this is, think, your first big dragon fight. In
Yeah, it's
any
the boss
MMO.
fight
Like,
first, yeah.
This is your intro
Because I mean,
raid.
you got the wave that happened, but those were like
It
mostly
felt like a
boss
tutorial
mobs.
level because
Yeah,
it
just
was
waves.
save the
Like,
village.
yeah, here's mob waves coming at you. This thing was like by itself, just a pain to deal with because of like not only like you had that miasma going on, but this thing was like a dragon that can breathe, fire and all that stuff too. So this was like a big piece that they just couldn't chew, honestly, in this first encounter with this kind of thing. And so, yeah, this episode gets me riled up because this is his first real fight where there's a struggle visually. Like, all right, Raftalia is getting hit with miasma because I can't keep up the guard of that miasma, so she's breathing that in. Now Fumi's like, all right, fall back. I can't keep it up and try to, save myself at the same time.
Because that miasma, because that ends up being a big deal, because Raftalia gets cursed by that.
Yes.
It does like a skin eating disease on her,
Yes.
as well as like her stats start taking a
The
tank.
plummet, yeah. So she's more of a liability at this point. And I think by this point, that's when Philo's like realizing, oh, guy's in danger. Oh, dragon! And then she starts showing off, and then they're trying to get her to pull back. Or Naofumi's trying to play, all right, I gotta be mother hen to Raftalia, but then I gotta start wrangling in Philo at the same time. And I think combined with like obvious threat, I'm having a fight to dragon. Take care of heals over here. Try to communicate support via over here to try to get her back in the formation. And this is where stuff starts to break down for Naofumi. So now we got Raftalia that's critically injured or poisoned at this point, clearly cursed. And then I want to say Philo gets in over her head and then just gets chomped by the dragon.
And that's what I was thinking too. I was trying to remember. I was like, I'm pretty sure the dragon goes.
Yeah,
And that,
bird gone, and then there's a bunch of red just splashed everywhere.
Yeah, you get like that quick cut with like the back background, the red splat.
Yeah,
Like,
just
and
oh my god!
Of course, that's where the commercial would be.
Yeah, definitely, it does a hard cut at that part. But after that, Naofumi is just not stay at all, and I'm putting that lightly. So at this point, this is where it gets kind of like breaking fourth wall kind of vibe for an anime in a sense, like at least from what perspective we're getting, because we know it's an MMORPG and everything else, but we're also quickly forgetting that because we're seeing it behind Naofumi's eyes. We're forgetting, oh yeah, this is a world with the HUD. You see it every so often. I want to say after a while it starts becoming the norm.
Right,
For
yeah,
the
you
viewer.
don't think about it, like, as the viewer, 100%, yeah, because you're just like, oh, I've gotten to the point, too, especially in later seasons, where every time it'd pop up, I'd pause it. I'm like, what's going on?
So what ends up happening is Naofumi's clearly having a bad time here, and he's having self-doubts at this point. He's like, I can't do this. Everything's against me. This is too difficult. This is too hard. And I want to say this is where an immersion breaking moment happens or starts to happen. And it's not immersion breaking in a bad way. It's kind of just unsettling. Like,
right, you're starting to get pulled into, like, Naofumi's, like, inner space. Like, that whispering from the shield from earlier is getting increasingly louder to the point where now we're at, like, a fever
we're hearing
pitch.
a distorted voice asking him, like, questions. I want to say one of them was like, do you hate this world? Do you want it to end? And then, like, stuff like that. Like, I want to get too dark here, but usually, like, when you just like kind of think of like your darkest moments in your life, this is what Naofumi's feeling right now. This heavy self doubt, like of the world being pitted against you, and you're just like, of course, this is how it ends. And so it's through this. This is where he unlocks a new ability called the Curse Shield.
Yeah, you get a quick pan down, and this whole shield graph comes up, and you get a new ping.
Yeah, so his whole skill set just gets wiped out, and then a new symbol appears on his skill tree, and then it just spreads out. And then I think there's like a pan out from him, like after a moment, it breaks to him like getting up, and then he's like covered in the curse markings.
Yeah, so it looks like all over his body's got like the same tree as like what his shield is on his display when he's like changing
when he's looking
styles.
at it. Yeah.
But it's like distorted and like moving across his body and is like glowing through his eyes at this point.
Yeah,
like,
think curse mark Sasuke.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yep.
And this is where, like, you're seeing a whole new side of this Naofumi's character, where I want to say the self-doubt, all the pressure, and just all the bad memories that he's had are just all like weighing down on him, and just kind of concentrating into this new persona.
And this is just all from the time he's been summoned in. It's nothing from like the previous world. It's just how FT's been since they summoned him in.
Right, he's got a bad taste of like a world, a world that should be like kind of equal for. Like he's seeing like people that are like him. I think that's what it is. It's people like him that get transported that are getting a better deal. They got a better welcome committee than I did. The party was gone. I wasn't late to the party. I showed up on time, but everybody was just like out of there. So it was all of that messed up stuff just weighing down and changes his persona into this like, I'm the shield hero, or it turns into I'm the suicide hero. I'm the meat shield. I can go ahead and beat up on me. It doesn't matter. Like I'm gonna dish it out. Like you think you're enough? Like, dude, I've been going through this stuff right from the get go. So what worse do you got? So it's like a self-destructive tank.
As you take damage, increased resistance by X percentage.
Right.
That's basically his mentality. It's not how it ends up working because you get your pan out and he's looking wild. And I remember just the first time that he activates that curse shield, that cinematic was so gorgeous. Like, talk about your shonen anime rah-rah power up. Like, it was satisfying.
It was satisfying in the sense, you know, where
like it wasn't over the top.
You're with him for that whole ride from beginning to this point, like so you understand, like you're kind of emotionally invested in this character, and so you're feeling a little bit of what he's feeling, and like the visuals, like you said, on top of that. I feel like the art or the animation studio really knew what they were going after at that part. Like they really illustrated or animated it very beautifully, and like the sorrow, the sadness, the weight of everything just being bad for, you know, just because of who I am. And I really don't know who I am. You know, I'm just dated by default. Shield hero. You know, but they did a great job in that part where they animated Naofumi in that scene where he has that rage shield and he uses that skill, and it's very powerful. So, yeah,
like the first time he gets some damage, and so after getting through the event with the dragon, because of course you know it's our dude, MC's gonna win.
Yeah,
that's how this works. We're only on episode 8 out of 24. We can't be out yet.
Yeah, I think he crushes it out, but
because it's like a fire power is what ends up being the DPS. Like he has like dark flames that come off.
But when he uses that, there's the drawback is that he hurt everybody else around him.
Yes.
So when he did use that power to crush the dragon, or burn the dragon, burn the body up completely, so there's no miasma. Smart. Somebody should have done, but Raftelia ends up getting hurt in the process because she wanted to. She kind of started seeing Naofumi suffering at that point, even though he was having the edge in the fight. She was like, "What's going on with it?" You know. And this is where like Raftelia plays a really important role in, you know, our main character's life. She's kind of like the anchor. That's always his anchor point. And what's funny is we'll touch on this in the future, but he always sees her as the little raccoon girl that he adopted.
Yep, and she's always like, I'm not just a little girl, and he's like, you're a 5-year-old Raph. Okay.
He's
and
like,
it only gets worse with Raph Chan.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, but and I mean that's she was suffering too, but he came into her life and brought her out of it, and now she owes him a debt to be that anchor in his life. So in this point in time, like he's done that the curse shield the one time, Raftelia does not like it.
Yeah, she was instantly not a fan.
Rightfully so, and we'll touch more on that in the future too. But yeah, so after that, they get the miasma thing covered, and yeah, comes back to the village, and he's like, "I'm just playing, dude. I don't want to take all your money." I think he settles for something else in that episode.
He gets something worth his time, but I don't remember. That's kind of like a running trope through Shield Hero is like he is like steady building up, but there's never like any one thing that jumps out that's like, oh, this magic thing happened. He got this power up, and it was the game changing moment. Like outside of that curse shield, like everything is a nice steady progression. So it
Yeah.
feels like you're going alongside of it, like an empire building sim almost in the background.
Yeah, 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 essentially. But yeah, I mean, it got the he got a deal out of it for sure. And then this is where we get back on the road again, and or it takes us to a different side of the country that they're in.
Yeah, the next little bit's pretty much the other three heroes go and try and help the citizens and just cause messes, and now Fumi has to go clean up the messes.
Yeah, like the curse shield definitely being like part of that arc for sure, and yeah, like he literally has to get everything that he's experiencing on the road, or like any like bad thing that's happened is caused by the other three, and it's basic things that, again, they see this as a video game world. Now Fumi's taking it in with stride and like realizing like, okay, this is real.
Right.
To
I
everybody.
live here. This
Yeah.
is real for
I'm stuck
everybody
here.
breathing.
Too. They often forget that they're stuck there.
Yeah. Yeah, like Sword Hero left a giant rotting dragon in the countryside. The Bow Hero tries to help a political dispute.
Vigilante.
Yeah, and so he dethrones the bad ruler only for a bunch of thugs to come take over and be 10 times worse than it was.
Yeah, basically the economy just got the rug pulled out from under it at that point, because that thug or the main mob boss was like the actual economic balance to that town, even though his methods were questionable. I think Naofumi even said, like, I get, the dude was bad, but you need to think about the outcome.
With being a first order thinker, there are things that happen after the thing you do.
Yeah,
it's not like
butterfly effect.
quest
Dude.
complete, everybody's hunky dory, and we just robot through town, beep boop. No,
Definitely
not how it goes in this world.
But yeah, and then I think the spear hero. Oh yeah. Spear hero.
I don't remember what he was doing, but his mess led into the track event. I'm pretty sure.
He's trying to cure hunger. I think there was famine in the village, and he was like, "Let me go find the seed that will bear like so much fruit," and like the seed is man-eating plants, bro. Like what?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot all about that one.
And Naofumi was smart enough to decipher the curse on the tomb of where they found where it was. That's where that there was a dungeon they had to go into, I think. And yeah, he finds out like something was entombed there, and he's like, somebody's been here before. And then we later find out, yeah, it was the spear hero. Yeah. Oh my God, the himbo.
So yeah, he runs around the countryside, cleans up everybody's mess.
Mm-hmm.
And as we would get to what would be a traditional end of the season, episode 11, then episode 12, we end up having wave 2 happen. This time around, Naofumi is a lot more prepared.
The only thing is that I think by this point, sorry to cut in, Melty is introduced.
Oh, yep. We got to talk about Melty real quick.
Okay,
she is a key character.
Yeah, so Melty is a key character. This is the Princess
B's younger sister.
More, level-headed sister for sure.
Technically second in line for the throne of Melramark, the country that the main bit is taking place in.
Yes. Yeah.
But as we come to meet her, definitely she's a lot more level-headed, very diplomatic. Like, she's a person you want first.
She was groomed.
Yeah.
For it, like you can tell, and then like they went really lax with Princess B, like non-existent there.
We failed with B, so here's all the places we need to improve with Melty.
I know how it is to be the middle child, so.
And Princess Melty falls in love with Philo. Not in like anything more than a platonic sense, because basically two little
she's
girls.
got an affinity, she's got an affinity for him. She's like a big fan.
Yeah, she's super nerd in regards to it. So they end up hitting it off best of friends. And Philo is like an infant in her demeanor. It's just always, I'm hungry.
And I remember
that's her catchphrase.
Yeah, she is always hungry. This chicken is just
every time
endless.
she talks, there will be
food
somewhere
involved.
in the scene, I'm hungry.
Where's the food?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely the Munchie chicken. I want to say that Melty came into the picture because news was getting around that it was just three heroes rolling around, like for the most part, like working together, and the Shield hero's been like pretty much spat on. His reputation got tarnished, and word of that got out of the main part of Melromark and outside of the, on the countryside and via to the other nearby territories and countries. And Melty comes into the picture because I think she's sent by the queen of Melromark, I want to say.
Yes, but I don't remember why. It's not
There,
important. We don't have to get hung up on it, I don't think.
I remember why she said she's there at the very least. She says that the reason she's there is to get a Shield hero to play nice with the other three heroes, and then he's like, no. Why would I do that? They have done they've believed everything from the get go for one, and then they made messes across the countryside that I had to fix.
They have been everything but helpful.
There's an episode where he just goes off on all three of them, and I'm just like applauding at the end of that. I'm just like mic drop, dude.
So good.
It was the best what do you chew out session I would say I've ever seen in an anime. I'm like, oh darn right.
It was definitely a refreshing way to do the your actions have consequence lesson.
Yeah, this ain't a game, guys. Like
So yeah, anyways, Melty ends up being a key character. She's kind of watching Naofumi trying to ring him back in.
mm-hmm.
And shortly after Melty, we get into the next wave. This time around, he's got those villagers helping him out, I think. And so I think once again he's just worrying about like, hey, I'm protecting the people because y'all won't.
Right. He tries to make I think even then, like even the second time, this second wave, he's trying to convince the soldiers like, you realize that your orders suck, right? Like you know it's wrong, it feels wrong, and then I think there's a few soldiers that end up being key characters later that are like kind of seeing where Naofumi's coming from, but they're like orders are orders, dude. I'm sorry, this is via the orders of the king, kind of thing. And then like Naofumi's like scoffs, and he's like, of course. And so, yeah, he tries to take on the wave via the last time he kind of did it, but it's a little more organized, and plus he has Philo with him, and I think Melty helps out a little bit, I want to say. At this point, I want to say.
Yeah.
Because she's a magic user.
Yes, she's
just
a
like her
caster.
sister. Yeah. So, yeah, they face off on that second wave and secure the village again, and they get help from the villagers, of course, like you said, for sure.
And then they end up making that one a two-parter. So episode 11, episode 12 both take place inside the wave. And towards the end of episode 2, episode 12 technically, at the end of that one, we're introduced to a new character. And that's the point where we start realizing even further, oh my, we are getting into a multi-dimensional wormhole. Because not only did the monsters come through on this go, but
just like
another
a hero,
popped through and was trying to drop our boy before time ran out on the wave.
Yeah, so she was basically this hero. It's a female. Wants to literally drop the shield here. She doesn't even care about the other three, if I remember correctly. She's like a trash mob.
Yeah, they couldn't. Their weapons were so low tier. They're like, it's like that scene in Sword Art where Kirito in like season 1 standing on the bridge and he gets attacked by like a group of thugs.
Oh yeah,
in World 1, and he's just standing there. He's like, MMO power leveling is messed up. If you're strong enough, weak people literally can't do damage, and you're just watching his HP bar. Boop.
Yeah, and he's just standing there like.
Yeah, that's basically what's going on in this situation where the other three ding dongs are like, we tried our best move, meteor, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, nah, get out of here with that BS.
Yeah, she just what?
And now it's like, well, I got a shield.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh no!" She's actively just going after the shield hero. She's like, "That is not the appetizer I wanted, so get that off my plate." And this is
Right.
the main hors d'oeuvre right here.
If I can get this one out of the way, y'all ain't gonna take no time.
Right, exactly. She sees the shield hero as a legitimate threat.
She obviously never played games though, because you obviously don't focus on the tank team.
Exactly.
You leave him
Ends
for
up being
last.
it ends up being your downfall again because you've wasted so many resources.
But unfortunately, the rest of our party sucks so bad that here we are.
Yeah, backpacking for real. I feel sorry for our tank. The weight of the world is on his shoulders. Literally.
And the only reason we get out of it is because the invader helps kill the boss mob, and then after the boss mob is killed, now just out tanks her. She doesn't have enough time to drop him, but nobody comes out of this good.
Right.
But I think this is also the moment where the other three realize, like, now has already gotten onto him within the last couple episodes about your actions have consequences, but now is the time where they're like, we just, like, crapped all over this guy this whole time, and he's the only reason we're alive right now.
It was the laughing stock because it wasn't that they were under leveled per se. I mean, that was part of it for sure. They got in each other's way the whole fight. That was like the perfect display of like what Naofumi was trying to point out, like to Melty is like, I gotta work with this.
It's like, no, I'll get him with my sword. No, my lance. So this, and she's like, no.
She's just like laughing, beating them up like it's bad. And Naofumi's just like watching. He's just like, oh my god, I can't do this. You feel so sorry for this guy, but yeah, I mean, they get in each other's way, and yeah, he literally saves them by out tanking her. I think that's when he comes up with that. No, it wasn't the spear shield thing. He's got some new technique that came out, like in that episode too, that saves them. I can't remember what was it.
We'll leave some things for them to find, but
Okay.
It's fun. It's for me, it was very Green Lantern-esque.
Yeah, for sure. But it had a cool announcement, I want to say, or like kind of like an intro to what the skill was, and even despite that goofiness about it.
But it's so over the top, though. I don't remember it ever making a comeback. It must be very costly.
No, a lot of his skills are.
Yeah, but he tries to big out the big gun, and it should have worked. We find out later why it doesn't. But for now, doesn't work, and we basically ended a draw with a timeout.
Yeah, yep, essentially.
So not long after that, we go into the back half of season 1, and we're kicking off the latter arc of this. Everything immediately hits the fan politically. No surprise.
I think after this point, they go back to the kingdom because
they're supposed to get paid for the wave.
Yeah, every wave they get paid. And I think Melty tries to chime in this time with the king in the room. And they're in the audience.
Yep, and King is king.
And treats the shield hero like crap once again. And then Naofumi is like, do you see now what I was trying to tell you this whole time, that they're treating me like this? Do you see why I don't want to work with these people?
And so to further add insult to injury, all the heroes stay the night in the main castle town, and that night, Melty gets kidnapped, and the situation is portrayed to be framed in a fashion that Naofumi did it, and so now in the gang have to go on the run and lie low, and he now gains the title Devil of the Shield.
Yeah, there's wanted posters of him at this point. Yeah, they're just blasting, smearing his name once again.
And this is also around the point you start getting a little bit more of the backstory into like the Three Heroes Church, because come to find out, if it's not at this point, it is very rapidly coming up that even though there are 4 cardinal heroes, um, the Kingdom of Melromark only
It
celebrates
recognizes the three.
the 3 weapon heroes.
Yes.
Um, throughout the series up to this point, we hear from like commoners and demi-humans about how much the everyday person loves the shield hero. But as far as like your townies or anybody with like any kind of status, those kind of people
Yeah,
all
nobles hate
nobles
him.
hate him.
Yes, any kind of royalty, noble, like anybody that's above that, like the poverty class, working class, does not like the shield hero at all.
Which makes it easy for the conspiracy to start going on.
Yes, of course, because it gets around the higher class individuals and makes its way out.
And so they end up going on a run for a bit, trying to escape this, save Melty, because they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah, because he gets, like you said, he gets framed for the kidnapping. Is literally out trying to outrun Melromark's army. So he has to like literally dance around borders for a bit, I want to say. Because, yeah, he's a convict in the kingdom. So he's literally dancing around the borders. And thank God he has that token with him that allows him to like just skip. But he has to skip tolls entirely. I think he has to go off roads through the forest.
Yeah, he's finding the holes in the border.
Yes.
And the next couple episodes, honestly, it is just going through them trying to keep a low profile and outrun everything. During the course of this, they end up lost in the woods. They get attacked by a big mob. It's hard for me to remember where it falls because it's like a 5-6 episode little chunk before the like actual story content gets off of this plot. There's a pretty neat character, I'd say, that comes in this point where we end up getting to meet the Filolial Queen.
Yeah, and I think this is where the show kind of touches on some background history on
the shield hero,
who the shield hero is.
In regards like the context of that.
I'll touch on this just for the sake of this what we're talking about. There was apparently, this hasn't happened just for the first time. There was another rendition of the 4 heroes before this, too. This has happened repeatedly.
Yes, this the hero summoning ritual is a common thing. And there's even a quick line that goes by in one of the episodes where somebody complains about the fact that one kingdom summoned all 4 heroes because that's not how that was supposed to work.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to go down like that. Yep.
Yeah, Melromark is. You kind of realize that the king and Princess B are
just unfit to rule. Like, frankly. Absolutely. Like, it's amazing how like that place hasn't fallen apart.
Yeah. And so we meet the Filolial Queen, Vittoria, and we get some more background on the shield hero. And it seems that shield heroes of the past have all kind of had a similar thing where they end up being friend of the common people. Demi-humans love them. And the Filolial Queen, come to find out, is like an ancient archaic being. Think about how dragons power up as they get older. Apparently our universe's giant chickens act in the same capacity.
Right.
At least if you're of a named variety.
Yes. Yep.
And so the Filolial Queen, Vittoria, is actually the philo partner of a shield hero of the past. She was an original partner of him.
Yes.
And so they end up, she makes Naofumi promise her that he's going to get the heroes to work together to fight the waves. And once again, he does bro, I can't. They're not going to. You didn't see this, and she's like, I don't care. You are going to get them to cooperate or I'm going to
kill you myself. Yeah, she literally threatens him like, if this doesn't work out, the outcome is everybody's going to die. And since that is the outcome, I'll just kill you myself. So
pretty
serious.
With the option of being, stomped by a giant chicken or cooperating.
We're talking Godzilla sized chicken. Like this, she ain't the Filolial queen for no reason, dude. You thought our main Filolial was big. It's
That's a
kaiju.
big chicken.
This is kaiju chicken, bro. Like, we see this in the King of the Monsters movie.
So after making the promise, I think Vittoria teleports him off somewhere safe, and we get the whereabouts of Melty. Everything gets
Yes.
sorted there, and that's where we start wrapping out the season, and we find the conspiracy. Remember how I said the nobility worship
Only
the Three
recognizes
Heroes
three.
Church?
Yeah.
Come to find out, Pope's trying to get rid of all the heroes.
Yeah, there's literally strings being pulled behind the background, and of course, being the king and the princess being as competent as they are at their freaking roles, they did not see this going on in the backgrounds, regardless that there were so many hints that something was going on, like kind of fishy in the background. Like their personal bias was fed into, and they were literally blind to this conspiracy that ended up being pretty darn real and pretty deep rooted.
Yeah. And so it ends up being Naofumi's team versus basically the Pope and the church and all the nobility. And they get trapped out in like a field and they have magic off.
Yeah, and I think Naofumi gets like I want to say like everybody, he tries to strategize at this point, I want to say. Because now he knows what the stakes are, he knows where the tone is, and he's just, and I want to say that, yeah. So this is like the princess thinks that at this point, like, oh, my plan is coming together, the shield hero is going to get his. But no, the Pope literally has his own vendetta and took advantage of the princess and the king.
Yeah, it's for those of you that get this reference, it's the Pope of Tetheala in the background. If I get rid of the king, it's me. I'm next. It's hey, who?
Right, exactly. Ruled by like a theological monarchy of some sort. Yeah.
So after a very intense and very graphically appealing fight, our boy comes out on top.
Cursed Shield comes out again. I'm not gonna spoil it to you, but there's a new move he finds out, and it's pretty dope.
Yeah,
Pretty dope. It has drawbacks, but it's pretty dope.
Is such all the minor evolutions are so good in this one.
Yes.
But our guys come out on top. Now is looking a little worse for wear for the experience, but he's still going with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's some recoup time, of course. And then we meet the queen afterwards, I think. Yeah. So
yep. After beating the Pope, we finally
queen
take
comes
Melty
back from
and
her
meet the
vacay.
queen.
Yeah, because she was out. Because it wasn't. Getting back to what you said earlier about summoning heroes.
Yeah, she was on a diplomatic mission because everybody was upset that Melromark summoned it all, and
it was the king.
And there's a thing that goes on in the background of all the episodes too that we didn't bring up in regards to this point. But the country is a matriarchy, so the queen has the power. When we say princess is next in line, like they have the
queen is
power.
Actual royalty.
Yes.
The
king married
was just
in.
a noble.
The king married in.
Yep.
And so queen finally comes back, rewards our boy properly for saving her daughter.
Yes.
And then they have
preventing a conspiracy, getting her own like kingdom like overthrown by the Pope. Like, come on.
And
so the queen like tells it becomes relevant.
Is that the episode where he asked the big favor, or is 25?
She's like,
it's 25.
No, she comes. Right? She says, "I need to tell you something really important." And then we'll find out about it later in season 2, I believe. Right? Yeah, season 2, because that's what she was telling Naofumi about, which is going to transpire in the next season, right? So she's trying to let Naofumi know, like, hey, there's something bad that's happening, and of course she would know because she went to a meeting of the countries that all came together at this meeting, and so they found out that other things are going down, and she hints at that she knows something bad is about to coming in. She tries to convince Naofumi, all right, you need to obviously get stronger, but you need to get stronger in tandem with the other three heroes.
Yeah, and they end up having a council, and of course at the council,
He rips into him.
He rips into him, and the other three are like all but hurt, and they're like, "No, we're not working with you." And so it ends up split, and it's just the other three head off, and it's Naofumi and the queen. He's like, "I'll figure it out. I don't know how, but I'll figure it out."
Right.
And so as we're wrapping up the last little bit is like we've got a little bit of time before wave 3, which is how season 1 takes us out.
Yeah, we're getting ready for the third wave at this point. Yeah.
And so with a little bit of time, they go on a training arc off to an island, and they meet this trio of characters, and they go on like a little training spree.
And they got some weird names, and they kind of act weird too. Well, we'll get into that later.
But they're friendly enough, so they travel together, and having an extra set of weapons never hurts. So
absolutely,
for the training mission, they all go out, enjoy the jungle, kill some stuff, get some loot,
get XP,
have a beach day. I think at a certain point.
Hey, yeah, there's our beach scene, the first one.
Yep, episode 23, beach day.
I forgot.
And so we separate, and it brings us into the final wave.
We're here, people.
And oh my gosh. So like the first couple waves, like very visually stunning. But this is the first time where we get to see like all of them really dealing with the problem of the wave. Our first couple experiences now is just like, I'm saving the townsfolk. I don't want
he
people
doesn't have to
die.
worry about this.
Yep.
This was eliminated, but not rightfully so, because there's a bigger threat coming through now. So,
and so this wave ends up being like an ocean battle. So the monster starts out at sea, huge. They're piloting around like galleys, like those big 3-mast sailboat kind of things.
Think of whaling back in the days. They're up against a Leviathan.
Yeah. It's Moby.
Like, this is a cool raid. Like, they made a raid like this. This is cool as heck. I like being like, oh, man, the boss is bigger than us. We got to work together, people.
And so as the waves progress and they're getting through the mechanics, everything's going well. And lo and behold, our favorite invader shows back up.
Hey, it's that lady.
And we're already like, oh, but we know how much our bro has grown, so we're like, maybe we got a chance this time.
Right.
Her weapon is like a fan, like fan yourself off fan.
Knives. Inside, like, because she can throw the thing out.
I thought it was fans, but
okay. Maybe it was. Like, it looked like it had sharp. No, she could shoot. Okay. Lady can shoot beams. I think, yeah. Okay, no, you're right. She's got all kinds of arsenals.
Yeah, she's a wild one. And then quickly in tow behind her are our 3 additional heroes from our training arc. Come to find out that Sir Lark, Miss Thrace, and Glass were all 3 from a different world. And you're like,
what? Another isekai inside of another isekai?
Right. We got isekais and isekais on isekais, and the more it goes, the more, like...
Yeah, it's getting wild. Like,
Pandora's box.
This is an Avengers level threat.
Right. And so this was such a hard one to do in simulcast because it was so good that they did where most. First off, they could have totally got away with stopping at 12 episodes.
Yeah, did a hard cut. Yeah,
hard cut.
Yeah.
The fact that they went as far as they did, they could have stopped at 24, but they're like, no, we're going to give you a 2-episode finale to wrap out this season.
Like they went out with like a little bit of like a bridge because they knew what they were doing. They were bridging it into the second season, and my God, that was just a ride in of itself. Because so afterwards, when you're watching it, it doesn't feel like that. But during it doesn't feel like that ride. When you look afterwards, and you're like, damn, that was a ride.
Right. And it's so good, too, because I hadn't even thought about it like that, too. You're 100% right that 2-episode season finale, if you're doing it in a binge, that is a bridge section. Because while the boat fight was dope as all
It
could be.
was.
Because I mean, you even had the queen and all the friends he made along
Yes.
the way. Like, oh, you had all the characters on it. It's so good.
Yes.
And then you have the B part on 25, where it's all the fight between our heroes and their heroes, trying to finish it out. Come to find out that Little Miss Glass, Knives fan, whatever, is apparently super susceptible to the spirit eating shield. I thought that was a really interesting out of left field way to
Again, we'll
damage
get
them.
into why certain things are for them, and it's different for our heroes. Like this is just this show's pretty in depth, and this is just the first season, people. Like
It's so good about dropping breadcrumbs for you. Like, I've seen season 1 3 times now, and like
Yeah,
I could go
same.
back and watch it again tomorrow. It's so good. I bet I'd find something new again.
Though, well, here's my thing. Like, I get this the itch to like do my own adventure afterwards. Just like, oh yeah,
Yeah, it's time. But yeah, so they beat the big boss of the wave and end up in a timeout situation again with the other heroes.
yes,
Other heroes get absconded, and we have a very satisfying wrap of season 1 where now Fumi is finally recognized as the heroic person he is and gets his just reward. And I want to go so far into detail about it because it is the funniest bit of the whole season. But if you made it this far with
It is
us, we
funny.
won't ruin that for you.
Yeah.
If you make it to the end of season 1, like I said, this is one of my favorite in the
Immediately
genre.
go into season 2, please.
Yeah,
like,
just
because this
run it through.
On the first rendition of the first season, we didn't get these episodes until like I want to say sometime after the first season was like kind of done. This was kind of like a bridge into what they were gonna do for the second season. I
See,
think.
I don't remember that. I think you must have had something going on because I feel like I
I want
remember
to say
this
that there was a
just
break. I don't know.
I don't-
felt like there was a break because
I
I don't
don't
remember
know.
it being 25 episodes. I remember it being like 24 episodes. I want to say.
I don't remember a lull, so I think you might have checked out for a minute.
Maybe,
But
maybe.
who's to say?
No, but for real though, like 25 episodes, one season. You got a lot to just digest from that, and then you got another season after that. Like, you know, it's crazy. It
We're up
gets
to
so
3
in-depth.
seasons currently, and it doesn't look like we're
Yes,
wrapped.
as of February 8th, 2024, we're 3 seasons deep into this show. Yeah.
Yep. So that's Rising of the Shield Hero season 1. I have a blast every time I've seen it. It is, like I said, one of my favorites in the genre. I could go on tangents, trying to
Definitely.
keep as
There's a lot of like hints back
Mm.
into the first season that we just went over in later seasons.
It is a super satisfying rewatch. It's got like all those like
It's a puzzle.
the
It's a
puzzle.
satisfying puzzle that's kind of gradually putting all the pieces together slowly over time. And I feel like it is going to be an encompassing full circle because you didn't remember how the show started out. And I kind of just blocked it out, though. Like the first scene you get when you start watching Rising of the Shield Hero is so important later on because it's just him and Raph just chilling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like key visuals like that you just kind of just get snips
Yeah.
up
Oh
play
my-
such a big role later on.
Yeah, they do such a good job with the foreshadowing, and it's like stuff you don't even realize in the moment.
You don't even realize how in essence it's a soap opera thing that they're doing, but it's not so soap opera-y. Like it kind of like is subtle. You're just like, what is that? It's random. What is that for?
I hate that you've put that in my head now as we have an isekai soap opera, but I love it so much it doesn't matter. It's so good.
It doesn't
so good.
matter. I'm not ashamed.
It's time to watch my weekly TV novella. Let's go.
Telenovela. Yes. Heck yes.
But thanks for hanging around.
Yeah.
When the seasons aren't 24 episodes, hopefully we won't run quite so long. But
Yeah.
who knows? We might go longer on 12. This is just a fun way for me to have a conversation about something I enjoyed and really liked watching. So
For
we're going
sure.
to try and keep picking out fun ones like this. We're going to go through season 2 and season 3 of Rising of the Shield Hero next, and we'll choose something after that's follow up with. I'm not quite sure where we're going to go from here, but we're going to try and stay not necessarily picking the straight A tier ones. There's you want to come talk?
None of these dudes on my
Yeah.
shirt. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You want to come talk to any of us about any of those though? I got so much to say about so much.
Yeah, we grew up with them.
Let's go.
I mean, yeah,
But let's talk about some of the weirder ones out there. So
definitely.
this is Brotaku Retrospective. We just covered Rising of the Shield Hero.
I'm
loose. And I might have given you the one that is a little bit stripped.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, that one felt tight but wasn't going. Okay, so I'm going to get